Yes, what's going on, everybody? This is the first time that I've read NYX, and what's funny about this is that I think I had the oversized hardcover years ago, just never got around to it, and we got an early copy of this gallery edition from Marvel Comics. I mean, this doesn't come out until like September 25th, and I thought, you know what? I would like to read the first appearance of X-23, see what it's all about. Is it NYX? Is it NYX? So I flipped through the first couple of pages. I figured, maybe I'll read until issue 3, which is X-23's first appearance. And then I read the whole thing. The Gallery Edition collects the 7-issue miniseries, NYX, and the 6-issue NYX No Way Home by Joe Quesada. I mean, this is basically like if X-Men and Dangerous Minds had a baby, and
tell me what this is all about.
You had this kind of inner city mutant story, which has a little bit of X-23. She's actually not even a big character in these arcs. You're really looking at the main character, Kaiden Nixon, hence the name NYX. So let's do a quick overhead shot of this. We'll take a look at the artwork, talk about the characters and the story, and see what we think about NYX after reading it for the first time. All right, so I want to say the Gallery Edition hardcover are kind of like Marvel's answer to DC's Absolute Editions. Here's what it looks like compared to a standard size comic book, or in this case, a trade paperback, which is that same size. And then here we have how it stacks up next to an omnibus. Here's the X-23 Volume 1, which I wanted to double check real quick to see if this contained her first appearance in NYX, and it doesn't. This just jumps into her first few miniseries, and then her ongoing. But yeah, it looks like they're really trying to compete with the DC Comics Absolute Edition without all the fancy stuff. It doesn't have a slipcase, it doesn't have a ribbon, and it comes in at a much lower price point. So $50 for the Gallery Edition from Marvel Comics. So we saw the front, which is the cover for NYX 4, kind of capitalizing off the fact that this is where we first get X-23, but like I mentioned in the intro, she's kind of a very small character within these stories. Here we have what most of the art style will look like. It's got very much a watercolor type of vibe to it. Here is Kaiden, little bro. Man, I forget bro's name. We'll see it in there. And I want to say, damn, I can't even remember her name either. Maybe maybe it'll come to me as we're flipping through it. But yeah, here's the, like I said, NYX 1 through 7 and NYX No Way Home 1 through 6. This is written by Joe Quesada. But you have Marjorie Liu on the artwork and on the first series, and then you have Joshua Middleton, Robert, Teranishi, and more. And explicit content. This very much feels like a Marvel Max title. Like, it's super rated R. There's drugs. There is serious topics that it plays with as far as death, homicide, suicide. And basically it tells the tale of these street kids and what happens to street kids when their mutant powers materialize. So that's kind of the vibe we're going for here. Here goes the credits. And then here's issue 1 with Kaiden. It shows her as like this drugged out rave girl, but it opens up with her backstory. She was a happy kid, happy family, mother and husband. The husband was a cop, but unfortunately he gets gunned down in the streets with Kaiden next to him. She witnesses her father's murder. And that's what happens to people, man. Something traumatic happens as a kid, and it just, boom, shifts the entire course of your life. Here she is being bad in a bathroom stall at a rave, doing drugs. And right away, you get this tone. She's at home with her younger brothers. She has a bad relationship with her mother. She's stealing her cigarettes. She's just got a rough home life, and then she's just living here on the streets of New York. And that's kind of where I'm always like, is it NYX because her last name is Nixon, or is it something to do with NYX, New York City? I don't know. But then you have her getting into it with these kind of gang members in school, and that's kind of the major plot point for the first arc or so. Her getting into it with this kid, ripping his earrings out of his ear, and getting her teacher involved. So her mutant power manifests, and what she can do is stop time all around her. So something emotional has to trigger her, and she can freeze time. When she touches somebody so slightly, it brings on an incredible amount of force. So she ends up breaking this kid's arm, by poking him while they're frozen in time. So here's issue 2 of NYX. Brother getting caught with drugs. So you can already see it has very like adult type themes here. Now the kid that, he got embarrassed by Kaiden. He wants revenge on her. She's at the principal's office. So again, very much like Dangerous Minds. The kid brings a pistol to school, shoots at NYX, or she doesn't go by NYX yet, at Kaiden. She stops time. She's having a blast. She's figuring out her mutant powers, but the bullet accidentally hits her teacher, which this is actually a very important scene or event that follows throughout the series here. So the teacher, her life goes to shit, man. She becomes dependent on painkillers, graphic scenes on her trying to take her own life. Her husband leaves her, and the teacher story will follow Kaiden throughout the rest of this. So here's the first appearance of X-23, NYX issue 3, and that is X-23. This is her here. She's actually a prostitute. Her first appearance is as a prostitute, and she's got these Johns that want freaky things. I mean, she scratched the hell out of his back. She really doesn't talk whatsoever, but we get introduced to her pimp. What is it, Zebra Daddy? I kept feeling like it was they were trying to play off the Puff Daddy thing here.
Not guilty.
No Diddy. But X-23, I mean, she's a young mutant. She is obviously traumatized as well. It feels a lot like the female, if you've ever read The Boys, especially with the whole mute aspect. So here goes Zebra Daddy, the pimp, who actually, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's a character from Kaiden's past. If you can follow comic lore, you could probably figure out who that is. We have Tatiana, I feel like is Kaiden's friend that I couldn't remember her name. But this is Miss Palmer. This is the teacher. So Kaiden finds the teacher. Somebody is whispering in Kaiden's ear, giving her the heads up, almost like a built-in Spidey sense. And then we'll figure out who that is later on in the story. Here's another situation with X-23 and that same John. It looks like he wants her to carve him up again. It ends up being something quite different. But we do find out that Kaiden is being visited by the ghost of her father that died when he was young. He's giving her the heads up to check this out, check that out, to save people, to save herself. And that's kind of the overarching thing that leads into the No Way Home storyline as well. So this is where we find the guy dead, making it look like X-23 killed him. She's got the Wolverine claws. Nowhere in any of these stories does it explain how she has these claws, or does it reference her being a clone of Wolverine or anything like that. So kind of interesting to see her first appearance. Now, I want to say this is Tatiana. Kaiden just, again, learning her powers, learning that she doesn't feel hunger when she's in this frozen, freezing the world state. She doesn't get hungry. She doesn't need anything in that state, so she can kind of get lost in there. At this point, since the shooting of her teacher, she has run away from home. She's no longer going to school. She's no longer living at home with her parents. And yeah, Tatiana, her friend, her mutant powers are emerging as well. When she sees blood, it makes her transform into whatever the thing is that bled. So it could be animals, it could be whatever. She's an animal lover, and she has problems at home as well. Her mother with her young boyfriend. So it's kind of one of the. It's really shedding a light on that kind of a thing. Like, these people that come from broken homes and how it affects them, which is relatable for me as well. Here we go. So Kaiden's the only one that can see her father, that he's sitting right there next to X-23. They've basically taken X-23 under their wing. Again, they think that she killed this guy. And they take her. So now she's on the lam as well. And Zebra Daddy wants her back. That's like his favorite prostitute. X-23 with her 2 claws and the claw coming out of her feet. So I want to say she only really shows up in like 2 or 3 issues from the first run, and then that's it for her. But not to spoil the entire story for you guys. I think that it's worth the read. Again, I started flipping through these pages just to get to NYX 3, and I got immersed into this story, guys. Here's Tatiana changing into this beast, and then we see this dude right here. So basically, he has powers as well, the powers of possession. He's trying to do the right thing. He's trying to take care of his kid brother who has disabilities, But he gets called by Zebra Daddy, call in one last favor to give him enough money to basically be able to take care of his kid brother and be safe here. So that's where he gets called in. I want to say his name is Felon is his name. So, you know, I didn't really realize this when I was first reading it, but yeah, it's really like what I said before. It's like an inner city story of mutants gaining their powers. And there are some subtle references to X-Men throughout here. This is during a certain event. I want to say, is it around Civil War? It kind of references the superhero Accords, if I recall. Now, little bro, Felon's kid brother, has a secret as well, which, you know what, we'll just not spoil that for now. Felon gets sent to, you know, help track down X-23 to bring her back to Zebra Daddy. One thing leads to another, and that they don't do it, basically. Basically, this team ends up forming this kind of pseudo-like family and living together, and then we get into the events of No Way Home, which is the 6-issue miniseries that follows this up. Yeah, here we got a little Wolverine and Beast here. You can see little bro. If I explain it, it'll spoil it. But, you know, the last page of NYX issue 7 is what gives us her last name, and it shows her Kaiden Nixon NYX. See, I still don't know. Is NYX her nickname, or is it some kind of New York, I don't want to give my return address? And then we jump into No Way Home. No Way Home is an interesting story. It's a direct continuation, which makes sense, you know, to why they put it in here. Flashing back to her father's death. Then we got Felon and little bro. And like I said, at this point, they're all living together like one big happy family. The teacher is there. But this is the story of the teacher getting kidnapped, and they are tasked to try to hunt down and find their friend. That's what we see here. It's going to get a lot worse. Somebody kidnaps the teacher, and they all have to find her. All right, so the art style is a different artist, but it kind of feels very similar. Really questions Felon's motives and who he's really here for. You can see these projections. You know, I don't want to spoil too much. But I think that's enough. That's about the gist of it for NYX. Overall, I'm really happy that I read this. Big thanks to Marvel for sending us this early copy. Like I said, this comes out, what is it, September 24th, I said. So if you like to collect these oversized gallery editions, you do get some bonus materials here as well. Some sketches, Zebra Daddy, the pimp. Covers for NYX 3. It looks like maybe, is that a variant or an unused cover? And this is for issue 4. Yeah, it looks like maybe they experimented with different outfits. But I definitely enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think of NYX. If you read it, if you haven't read it, what do you think about the gallery edition? I do appreciate you watching, though. Stay minty fresh. Peace.